Odo Island, my home. Long ago, in a time when the sea was life and also death, we had a god of the deep, who gave us bounty from the sea to sustain us, but who raged when angered. The waves would turn violent, the fish would disappear, starvation would creep in, and the old belief, passed down from our ancestors, that when the sea churned, when the god was displeased, a sacrifice was needed, a pure maiden, sent adrift on a boat to appease him, for the peace of the island. I, Hana, a simple fisherman's daughter, never dreamed that one day, but this year, a year of frequent storms, dwindling catches, my name was spoken in the elders' council. Everyone's eyes turned to me, eyes I couldn't read. Why? Why me? My heart turned cold, my hands trembled, only fear gripped my soul. But how could I refuse? My refusal could mean disaster for everyone on the island. Their fate rested on my acceptance. The whole island grew silent. Laughter vanished from the village. Only soft whispers remained, and the glances sent my way, some filled with pity, some filled with fear. Fear of me, or fear of the god who would soon claim me. I am the chosen one, the maiden who must carry the hopes and fears of all, the one who must face the fury of the sea, alone. The village women came to dress me, in a kimono of purest white, white like the crashing waves, white like bones bleached on the shore. My long hair was gathered meticulously, adorned with garlands of white flowers, blossoms they picked from the cliffsides. Their faint fragrance mingled with the scent of the sea, or perhaps the scent of death. I could no longer tell the difference. Mother, she wouldn't look me directly in the eye. Her hands helping dress me trembled ceaselessly. Father, he stood stiffly by the doorway, his gaze hard as ever, but I saw it, the hidden anguish deep within. No words were spoken, only the heavy silence of departure. The islanders gathered in the village square to watch me one last time. Some lowered their eyes, some clasped their hands in prayer, not for me, but to the god, begging for mercy, praying my sacrifice would not be in vain. I felt as though I wasn't Hana anymore, but merely a symbol, a living offering. This body, this spirit, no longer belonged to me, but to the sea god, to this island. My feet moved along the path to the beach, slowly, yet deliberately, each step a farewell. Farewell to the land where I grew up, farewell to the life I knew, stepping towards the vast emptiness, towards the fate that was decreed. These floral garlands are tokens of farewell, a false honor bestowed upon the condemned, beautiful, yet so cold. The boat so small, so terribly small against the vastness of the sea. No sail, no oars, just me, and the meager provisions they said were in case the god shows mercy. Rough hands pushed the boat from the shore. I didn't turn back. I couldn't bear to see the last glimpse of my home, or the last sight of those I loved. The boat drifted away, slowly, but relentlessly. The land shrank, until it was just a dark green line on the horizon, and then it vanished, leaving only the deep blue water and the endless sky. Quiet, so quiet, only the sound of water against the hull, the wind beginning to whistle in my ears. No seagulls, no other boats. I was truly alone, in the cold embrace of the sea. The sun dipped lower, the golden light turned orange, then a bruised purple. Dark heavy clouds gathered swiftly in the once clear sky. The wind picked up, white caps began to form on the waves. The fear I'd kept buried deep began to gnaw at my heart. I was so small. This boat felt so fragile. What would happen in the coming darkness? The god I was sent to find. Where was he? What was he like? I could only hug my knees tightly, watching the water grow restless around me. Every ripple felt like a whisper. Every shadow from the clouds like an omen. This little boat, was it to be my coffin? The storm raged. The tiny boat tossed like a leaf. Waves like mountains crashed down. I was soaked, freezing, clinging desperately to the gunwale. Then, amidst the roar of thunder, I heard another sound, a deep, low rumble, coming from beneath the water, a sound that chilled me to the bone. Not the sound of the storm, not the sound of whales. The water around the boat churned unnaturally, not just from the waves, but swirling in a vast circle, as if something immense was moving below. A shadow, a colossal dark shape, bigger than the boat, bigger than any whale I'd ever seen. It passed beneath us, just for an instant, but I felt its terrifying power. Suddenly, something broke the surface in the churning darkness. Not far from the boat, I couldn't make out its form clearly through the rain and spray, but I saw a pair of eyes, glowing with a dreadful red light, staring eyes devoid of feeling, filled only with ancient fury. And then the roar erupted, not from underwater anymore, but tearing through the air, echoing across the ocean. A roar filled with devastating power, a sound that shook the very world. Another giant wave, higher than before, crashed down upon the boat. I heard the splintering of wood. The boat was breaking apart. I squeezed my eyes shut, screaming silently. This was the end. The god had claimed his sacrifice. Darkness, cold, pain. I choked on seawater, but I was still breathing. My hand clutched tightly to a piece of driftwood, adrift in the raging sea, lost, but still alive. I don't know how long I drifted, clinging to that piece of wood, my body exhausted, numb. The sun beat down, hope fading with every moment. I closed my eyes, bracing for a second death. But then, a sound. A ship's engine. Not the sound of the small fishing boats from my home. This was louder, steadier. I forced my eyes open. A large vessel, bigger than any I'd ever seen, heading towards me. There were people aboard. They were shouting, pointing at me. Hands reached down, strong hands, pulling me from the cold water onto the warmth and safety of the deck. They wrapped me in blankets, gave me water, spoken words I mostly understood, but with a different accent. They were from the city. Tears streamed down my face, not from fear, but from overwhelming relief, gratitude. These people, strangers, they saved me without asking about gods, without asking about sacrifices. They saw only a human being in need. In that moment, I knew I could never go back to Odo. I couldn't return to the island that sent me to die, to those blind beliefs, to that unseen, terrifying fear. The sea that had almost claimed me had instead given me a new life. The world outside, the one I never knew, was waiting. I leaned against the ship's railing, watching the waves trail behind us, leaving the horrifying past, leaving Odo Island behind in memory, heading towards the big city, towards light, towards a new life I barely dared to dream of. But the scars on my soul, and the image of those red eyes, I knew they would follow me forever. Decades slipped by. Life in the big city was a world away from Odo Island. I worked simple jobs, enough to get by. That memory, I tried to bury it deep, though it always haunted my nightmares. Until that day in 1954. The sirens, the sounds of chaos, a chillingly familiar scent of fear began to creep back. But this time, it was louder, more chaotic. It was happening on land, in the heart of Tokyo. I rushed to the window. People were running frantically, and then I heard it, the roar. The same sound that had echoed in my memory my entire life. The sound that froze the blood in my veins. There was no mistaking it. A colossal dark shadow fell over the skyscrapers. It was moving through the city, not just a shadow beneath the waves, not just eyes in the dark. This time, I saw it clearly. The immense body, the rugged skin, the fearsome dorsal fins. The god from Odo, it was real, not just some foolish legend or my private nightmare. I sank to the floor, trembling violently. Images of the raging sea, the splintered boat, the red eyes, flashed, overlaying the sight of collapsing buildings before me. The nightmare I had run from my whole life had found me, and this time, it was here to destroy everything. Survival instinct screamed at me to flee. I knew better than anyone how terrifying that rampaging thing truly was. I joined the crowds evacuating, running for my life. For the second time from the very same entity. I survived again, lucky to evacuate before the worst of the city's destruction. But this time, I wasn't alone in my knowledge. The entire world now knew about the living nightmare I had faced at sea in my youth, the god of destruction, that now everyone knew by the name. Godzilla.